Today on To The Point, a little So You Think You Can Dance for you. In fact, it's your Season 7 winner.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Welcome on in To The Point with Kristyn Burtt. We are so excited you are here because we've got a great guest. And of course, before we get started, we always want to thank Popcorn Talk and of course Dance Network for presenting us today. But we do have your Season 7 So You Think You Can Dance winner and also an all-star, Lauren Froderman.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome
I'm happy
to the
be
show.
here.
I know, a.k.a. Low Fro or Frody.
Yes.
Or what do you prefer these days?
All the nicknames. I tend to go by Frody.
Frody. Okay, great.
Yes,
I never really know what to call you.
Who are you?
Who are you in 2019?
Right.
So Frody it is.
Yes. I always try to tell people, like when I was younger, nobody called me by my first name. It wasn't like I didn't ask people to call me by nicknames. They just did. It was started with my parents with Lolo, and then
That's cute.
Thank you. And then my dance family when I was younger, like before like elementary school age, they were like, "Oh, Lo, and like your last name is Froderman, Lo Fro. That's hilarious. We're gonna call you Lo Fro." And so that took off. And then actually Mandy Moore, when I was like 12, maybe 13, just started calling me Frody, and then for some reason that like picked up, and then
That's such a Mandy Moore nickname.
it is.
It really is.
She loves like the ease and like the cutesiness.
She does.
Yes.
When I thought about that, I'm like, so Mandy Moore, we can attribute
Yes.
the Frody nickname.
Yes. Actually, she has a lot to do with my my whole career actually, like, you know, with Frody being my nickname, and then she choreographed my last solo that I auditioned, and she's a big part of my life. She's a
We
special
love
lady.
her.
Oh my God, she's the best.
Well, that must have made Season 7 pretty special for her because I know she's known
yeah.
Robert for a long time.
Oh yeah, that's like her student. Like Robert and I have known each other since we were kids too. It was wild. That whole period of my life was so crazy because even like my very first week when I was a contestant, I danced with All Star Ade, who I grew up dancing with in Arizona, and was also on season 5, and then
Right.
Mandy choreographed it. So, and I've known her since I was like a baby. So I was like, oh my
circle
gosh,
moments.
like it was very comforting. I didn't feel like I was in, necessarily like a scary, daunting environment because I was like, oh, I know a lot of these people.
Did it make you feel more confident?
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah.
just thought I was, at a dance camp for a long time that like my mom was maybe watching on TV somewhere.
But that's probably the best place to be.
Oh, yeah.
I've talked about this a lot on the podcast too. We've had a lot of contestants that said, I was not myself on the season. I was uncomfortable, or I was nervous, or I didn't feel like me. Teddy Coffee is probably the biggest example of that. And
sweetheart.
probably the sweetest guy, but
Yeah.
also someone who works all the time.
Yeah, and all the time, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, with Christina right now, I think.
It is with Christina. I
he's
think
crushing
he
it.
was over in like Belgium or something last I looked.
yeah.
But so he goes, I don't feel like So You Think reflected who I was as a
Yeah, I
dancer.
know that is common. That's common. I feel really lucky that didn't happen to me. I think a lot of it had to do with I was young, and so I didn't really take in that, like, I'm on TV. Like, I think
fear.
that saved me. Yeah, the fearlessness and the ignorance is bliss. I just straight up was like, I don't know what I'm doing here, but
have you gone
I'm
back
gonna
to
try
watch
to stay.
your audition anytime?
Unfortunately, I have seen it.
I was watching it again today. I've seen your audition many, many, many times.
Sure.
But I love how your package is like, I was just down the street at a cheerleading competition and I just like drove on up and came and auditioned here to So You Think.
Yeah.
Was it really that
Oh,
sort
yeah.
of casual?
Oh, absolutely. I was there because of a good friend of mine, Reed Tankersley. He's a professional dancer in New York now. He was like, I'm auditioning and you're coming with me. We were at a partnering class together. And I was like, no, I'm that's too much. Like, that's crazy. Like, I'm still in high school. Like, no. And then he's like, no, just do it. And I was like, well, actually, randomly, I am in California for my cheerleading competition that weekend. So maybe I'll just see if I can swing by for a little bit. And it was so
Slide away
casual. Yeah, it was really was. That could encapsulate my experience on So You Think. I just, like, every moment when I was a contestant, it just was like, I'm still here. I guess I'll just, like, do my best, have fun. I just never really thought about, like, oh yeah, like, I'm gonna go on TV and I'm gonna win this thing. And it wasn't until maybe like maybe the last week. Even then I still did, and I was like, probably not, but like, it'd be cool.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
But that probably kept you yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You were authentically you. You're just like,
Yes.
I'm at dance camp.
Yes.
Occasionally they catch me on camera and it's wacky.
And I've been dancing since I was 3 and competing, what's the word? Just high competition level. Like, I'm used to that kind of pressure, and expectation and like perfection level like required. So the environment was comfortable for me. I've been myself in that environment for almost as long as I can remember. So it was just it was just people actually getting a glimpse of what that is like for me in a heightened 100% overdrive situation of that.
That's amazing. It was 2010, so we're almost at a decade. Next summer, we'll be saying...
I'm vomiting.
Remember season 7. Because right now, it's season 5 and 6 that are celebrating their decade anniversary.
Right. Yeah, I've heard them like try to, they're like, oh, what are we going to do to get together? And I'm just like... Ew, is that really me next year?
It is. And you guys are all still, you were so young that you're still young. Like, that's the crazy thing of all of that.
Yeah.
But do you look now at, season 15 and upcoming with 16, do you think, I'm not sure I could have competed with that? Or do you think different types of training? Because I feel like it's a different generation already.
Yeah. I mean, I would not want to compete on that show today with my body I have right now. Like, I think
your body's great.
Thank you.
You're very fit.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But it is just so taxing. That show is, even when I come back as an all-star, like I have to go and take ice baths. Like, I never did that when I was on the show. I just was like, well, I'm sore, but whatever. Now I'm like...
But it's different, though, because you have the tools and the knowledge to take care of your body better.
Yes,
so.
Absolutely. There is more of like an educated, like, oh, this hurts, let me take care of this now kind of situation.
At 18, you're invincible.
Right. And also when you're 18, you're like, I'm 18 forever.
And you're like, oh my gosh, take it from me. I'm older than you. I'm like, it hurts. I did an aerial yoga class this weekend.
Hey.
And yesterday I was like, I told my husband I couldn't open the freezer. I'm like, get a popsicle for me. I can't open the door.
That's so real. That is so real.
Yeah.
Anytime I take a class in another style these days, I'm like, oh, I have a whole new muscle I didn't know. That's great. I like that. Learning about myself all the time. But
you're keeping the body in shape. That's great.
Yeah. Like, I can definitely, I love going back and all-starring for the show. I did it a little when I first got off, and I had like my little hiatus where I went to school, and I wasn't really involved as much. I mean, they'd ask me, but I never like had my schedule available at the times they needed me. Mm-hmm. And then obviously after graduating, then I started picking up with them again. And now it's like, it's so strange because it's like my home base and it's my family, but it's also like I'm so much different, and I am the same person, but like I've evolved so much in even just who I am as a being that it's very strange to go back, because you kind of like go back in time a little bit, but you're also still who you are in the present. It's very cool.
You're like the older, wiser person going back to high school, and then you're thinking, wait a minute.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And Jeff is still there, and Nigel's still there.
And there's like a lot of the same people that you care about and who were like, instrumental to that part of your, history and whatnot. But yeah, it's very weird. And it's weird being an all-star, and the older I get as an all-star, the more I really understand. Like, it's like looking into the mirror, and you see like these young kids who are so hungry and also so stressed. So much of the time my contestants are so stressed, and I'm like, no, you have been working your whole life for this moment. You didn't just start dancing yesterday and you're like, what's happening?
You just show up on national TV to have Nigel and Mary and now Lorianne and Dietrich.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's like it's the same, the same tool you've been using in a new environment. You're like learning to make, you've been making chairs your whole life, and then you're asked to embellish that chair, and you're like, I don't know, where did the legs go? And it's like, you know where the legs go. Like, you're
right underneath there. You got them.
Yes, exactly.
Jeff has always said, we had him here in March, and he said it's a very special person that is an all-star, because I think a lot of times the fans are like, why don't we have this person and this person?
Right.
But he said he's very specific in who he chooses, because he really wants the mentors. He wants you guys to mentor them, because you're all-stars and you're mentors, but he wants that contestant to understand what the process is like.
Yes.
So what are you doing in the rehearsal studio? I mean, when they're stressed, like, how do you get them to just calm down?
Well, make them understand and embrace the idea that they're not alone, because a lot of the times you're by yourself. Even like when they get, I used to hate it, because when we dance with them, then we have to leave and they get judged by themselves, and it's like they're not by themselves. But one, they have this, like, I used to tell people, like, when I was a contestant on the show, it's like people were so surprised that there isn't more like drama or isn't more like negative interactions between the contestants, but it's like, honestly, we're all drowning on the same boat. Like,
The Titanic's going down. We're all looking for the life raft.
Like everybody's in the same situation. So like being able to be a teammate for them and also have no other invested interest in it. Like I'm not trying to take the spotlight away from them. I'm only trying to make it easy for them and the best experience for them and like make them the most confident, talented version of themselves. And like once we just honestly it comes down to just like talking and getting to know them, and then the more we get to know each other as people, it translates in the dance, in the performance. And like every all of my contestants, it's very weird. They become like a little pocket in my heart, like forever. Like forever we'll have fond memories of them. Like even like Marco, like I all-starred with him his season, and now he's an all-star all the time, but I still like when I see him I just have like that special moment of like
you're my baby.
Yeah, that one time like we really like it's like you climb Mount Everest together, and like it's a very, I mean, Jeff's and anybody will say it, like it's a very unique experience because you're yourself, but you're also being judged on your skills that you pour your heart into, but also it's like new styles that you're not comfortable with sometimes. So it's very challenging, but if you have like good support, you come out of it feeling really confident. And like there's so many people who after the show like they start to do other styles professionally because it's pushed them that they can, and they like learn how to adapt and like take what they already have and grow more and get better, and it's just like really cool to watch.
Yeah, we've seen that quite a bit. Even JJ Rabone, like she was on the stage versus street season, and she's quite an accomplished ballroom dancer now. She's incredible watching her move.
It happens because it's like we're not getting necessarily on that show, you're not getting foundational training. You're getting a very like quick speed
like,
through.
Here's your cha-cha.
Yes.
Like
yes, but you just learn to take what you already have, and I feel like that's and make it even better. And I feel like that's a good metaphor just for life, for anything you're gonna challenge, like tackle, because you're already enough just who you are, and then you take these circumstances and you adapt and you learn from them, and like you're able to accomplish more than you even thought you would just by being yourself, and what you already have to bring to the table is enough.
It's so interesting that you say that too, because I get a lot of DMs from potential contestants or they've made it to Academy and they slide into my DMs and they're like, do you have any advice? And I'm like, well, I'm not judging you and I'm only like on the outside of the bubble, you know, but I always say, if you get a style, if you're in the ballroom round and you're panicking, just perform the hell out of it. Yeah. Because if they see the fight, they will move you to the next round. If they see you give up, they're done with you.
Yes. And it's so easily able to spot when someone kind of shuts off and just goes like robotic and like what is that, like almost like instinctual, like
autopilot.
Like just like survival mode almost of like, I don't know, just get through this.
Just finish.
Versus like, I'm struggling but I want this so bad, like you can I get like baby chills just like thinking about it, because it's just like that's what makes I think dance so special, is like the passion that people come into the show with of like, I love dance and I have a gift to share and I want to share it. It's like, oh, yes, do it, yes.
Do it, go for it. And that's what the show is like behind the scenes too.
Yeah. And you've been a part of it for so long.
Since season 9 was the first season I really covered, starting here at AfterBuzz, and then now I'm like always backstage, and I joke, I'm like, I have my little office at the beginning of before the show starts, and choreographers will come over and be like, this is what happened this week, this is what it's great though. I get some great information. It's not gossipy information, it's actually just really foundational information of like, the contestants are really tired this week, they have 4 numbers, so they're just they're pushing.
That happens.
It does. Or they'll say, this show is unbelievable, wait, you guys, and I'll just throw it on Twitter like, you guys, wait, you're in for it. It's amazing.
Yeah,
so.
And I'm sure everybody's like on the edge of their seat.
Like, oh, what's gonna happen?
Yes.
Yeah, and there are those moments. I always say, being in studio when Kiki and Jenna did that cane dance where they were throwing 10 canes was the most thrilling thing I've ever seen live.
Oh man, props.
I was like, the whole time my stomach hurt. Because I knew they had not done it clean.
Right. Yeah. And that's part of the thrill of it, is it's like so, like much more often than not, your dress rehearsal, like you've done it like at least 10 times full out on stage and it still hasn't ever hit. It still hasn't ever been perfect. And you're just like, well, there's no other time. Like, this is it.
Good luck to me.
Yes, exactly.
But most of the time, it's funny because the adrenaline kicks in and the muscle memory takes over. And away you go.
Yeah. I mean, I still definitely, there's like this weird sensation I get, especially dancing on So You Think, just because it does do that little time warp thing to me of where I'm like, wait a minute, how old am I? Where am I? Who am I?
Am I up for judging or not?
Yeah, but there's this like sensation that happens where it's almost like, yeah, you know, everything kind of like zooms in and it's like just the stage and you're just like moving and you know the moves, you're not really thinking about it and you're like really absolutely present. It's like you get this like tunnel vision. It's so fun. I love it.
And Jeff
thrilling.
does his little pep talk.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. I wouldn't want to do that show without Jeff. I mean, he is the show. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love watching him and he's moving his hands and you can
my
see
gosh.
when he's like, you need to do this or like, you got this.
He
Like,
puts his whole soul and heart into helping the contestants be their very best and like helping them within their particular style of whatever they're accomplishing, like what their goal is, like what they need to bring. And it's so fun. Like he always gets little pep talks. Always. I love them.
and I finally saw the Jeff Thacker warm
Warm
up.
up.
I finally saw it. And I did not know it was super serious. Like,
it's so serious.
It's super serious. And I wish I could show it to you guys because I was like, I thought he was just like, he had set up a routine and he's there doing it.
Oh yeah.
And he's got his little like isolations, the hips are going, the sweatpants are on.
Yes,
and
yes.
It's amazing to watch.
Yes.
Like he is all in and I love it so
Right.
much.
And it's part dance, but it's also part sing, part song. Everybody's like screaming at the top of their lungs, especially for like the last song we do. It's always really fun. It's definitely like, I think people wouldn't know what to do with themselves if that like stopped.
It's a tradition. It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
tradition. I'm so glad I finally witnessed it. I was like,
but nobody can do it. Nobody can do it like Jeff. He's the best one. So we're just,
No.
trying our best to be like
got
him.
some good hip action too. I have to
Yeah.
say, I was
Oh, yeah.
very impressed, and it was actually day one of the Academy this year that I finally witnessed it. And a fellow reporter was sitting next to me because it was media day, and I was like, shh, okay, shh,
This is it.
stop talking to me. This is the. And he was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, the
You don't
Jeff
get it.
Thacker. You don't understand.
Yeah.
I'm like, we are watching something legendary here on the Dolby stage.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised. I feel a little exposed right now. It's out there.
It's out there. It's just me. So I don't think
you're
anyone
safe.
else
You're safe.
understood.
You're
Yeah.
in the tribe.
I try. I try. I got invited to the premiere party this
Yes.
year. So finally.
Yeah, that was a blast. I was so happy to see you there. That's why I'm here.
Yes, this is why, if anyone wonders why Frody is here, I kind of stalked her. I was like, you have to come on the show.
Yeah.
And I was like, July 9th.
Yep, and
it happened.
It happened, yes.
And then I went to the restroom, and then she was there with your friend.
My friend Carly,
Carly.
yes.
I was like, I know it's a K name.
Yes.
And Mandy Moore was there, and you were like, come in, we have to do this. And we were like bears or cats or dogs or something.
they have those. They have that little where you have the video that's like almost a boomerang GIF type situation, and then they do the filters. I did about I don't know 250 that night. I spent a lot of time by that bathroom. I think people thought I was like in there having trouble, but really I just was doing a million videos.
I know, my husband's like, where did you go? I'm like, well, there's this thing, and I got a video, and that happened.
Yeah.
So
Did you get yours?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I have them too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Phew.
If not, they're going to come up in a year on
Right,
Time Hop
right,
or wherever.
right. You'll see
we'll
them
see them
eventually.
again.
Yes,
They
exactly.
always come back.
Yeah.
I know that one of the biggest questions, and you and I talked about, are you coming back?
Yes. Always the question.
Always the question.
And
Will we
I
see you?
love when I get to say, maybe.
Maybe. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Yes, I have been really lucky. I was on tour with the show this past season, and then I started with JJ last season during the live shows.
The jazz number.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it so much. I still like that song is forever now happy. I used to hear it and love Bruno Mars. No shade to Bruno, but I used to hear that song and just be like, next.
Mandy Moore changed that for you,
She
didn't
did.
she?
Now I'm like, wait a minute. I need to listen to this. I need to dance a little bit. Yeah. But,
And then JJ jumped over Kat Deely.
Kat's head. I still can't believe that. I was on the sidelines, because they don't let us stand with our contestants or whatever when they're being judged, and he's like revving up to do it, and I'm like, no, he's not gonna do it. Like,
She's a tall drink of water.
way. No, and she's wearing heels too. And she
And a
is such
skirt.
a champ. She is the best host. She really is so cool. She's so down for anything. She rolls with the punches. She just straight up let him jump
and
over her head.
The force slid her down in her heels. Yes. I think she fell on her rear end, but I was like very graceful. The skirt, like no one saw any.
So graceful, and then just got
parts.
up and never said anything. Just toot toot. Yep. It was hilarious. I was dying laughing.
That was a good one. I was behind the judges that week, which was usually I'm on the other side of the studio.
Did you get to see it?
I did, actually.
Or did you just see a flying person?
It actually was a good angle because of the way he was flying over that time. So I was like, oh, this is actually a good place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's hilarious. Honestly, I love him so much. It was just his birthday this past weekend. And
I saw him in the Derek Huff tour.
Yes. I was catching up with him about that. He's been killing it. He has a lot of like really great projects coming up on the way. Might be somebody for the future to interview because he's got a lot going on.
Bring him back maybe before he's off and
running and see you later. And then it's like a situation like me where it's 4 years later or whatever.
I know we were talking about this. The last time you were, I interviewed you, honestly, was 2015. It was August sometime. Right. And you were on with Kent Boyd for fellow season 7. And you guys had done a short film, Collide, in 1986.
Right. Yeah, that was so much fun.
So much fun. Is it still out there on YouTube?
Oh, yeah, it's still out there. You can still watch it.
A lot of fun 80s.
Yes. It's very, I feel like, on brand right now. I mean, it has been for a while, like with the like nostalgia 80s vibes and like
very
fun
Stranger Things.
Yes, exactly. So it's really, it's out there. Go watch it. Why not? It's like a little, if anybody doesn't know, it's like a little added story of like what might have happened. Like it's like a prequel, like what might have happened leading up to our classic Collide duet that Travis did on the season. It's very creative, very cute.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you see Kent that often?
Unfortunately, I don't. Although, oh my gosh, I had such a flub recently. Somebody, like a fan, was at a concert and Boogie Shoes was playing. Yep. So I they like tagged me and they were like, I always think of your dance, which I did Boogie Shoes with Billy Bell. Mandy choreographed it on my season. So I reposted it, but for some reason, my ears just like assumed what they were hearing was Hip to Be Square. Oh. Which is a dance that Mandy also did for the last part of the season with Kent and I. So I reposted that on my Instagram and then tagged Kent and Mandy, and Kent responded to me. He goes, well, I wasn't in that dance.
But thank you.
Nice to see I love you. Yeah.
And Mandy's like, Mandy, I remember that.
Mandy's probably too busy. She didn't even see.
Mandy is,
I'm really hoping because I was so embarrassed. I'm sorry, Billy, too.
It was an Instagram story.
Oh, yeah.
It's gone.
I deleted it immediately. It was up for like 4 hours, and I was like, oh. To be fair, it was like late at night when I reposted it. So I was like on my way to sleep and like, oh yes, loved Hip to Be Square. Good night.
Good night. And then Kent's like, what was up with your season and all the injuries? I was going back through the history. It was Billy and Ashley and Alex Wong.
Right, the infamous injury.
And even the All-Stars were getting injured. They're like, Allison was out for this. And I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I really don't. Because I mean, there's always going to be injuries. Like
always.
That's unavoidable because it is such a jam-packed short-term version of what we do, like what we're capable of. So you're just like pushing your body to its ultimate limits most of the time. Just even if it's like an easier routine, just the sheer amount of times you have to do it before it's going to be perfect in 3 days time that you need to like perfect something.
First rehearsal is like 4 hours and that's it.
Right.
Learn it.
Right, exactly. And then of course you're like at home practicing more because you don't want to be a fool or like come up and unprofessional looking or something in the next rehearsal. So it's more than just like the time you spend in the studio. You're just like constantly rehearsing these routines. Even as an all-star, I'll like still rehearse my parts outside of the studio space because I want to make sure I'm like there for my buddy as much as possible. But I don't know. We just got injured so much. Like even I had like the dehydration issue, which like whatever. I learned my lesson. I drink water now.
Please hydrate. I also think too, and dancers are bad at this, but sometimes they hide injuries. I mean, obviously, like Alex is required surgery, so it was obviously had to end the season. But I always think now, you push through, and usually by week 5 or 6, you start seeing more and more tape on the body as they come out.
Yes, exactly.
Just holding the limbs together.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, they're
Start looking
feeling
like
this.
patchwork dolls a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even like Lex's season, those last couple of weeks, how he made it through and still won the show, he was hurting.
Yeah, you just honestly, it's mind over matter. Like towards the end, especially of the show, you are going to have some kind of issue. So you just have to, that's just dancer training. Dancers are like, are you injured though? Because if you're injured, then you're out of like you can't just like if you're injured, you can't just like half do something or like sort of participate. It's like all or nothing.
50%? Can I mark it?
right, exactly. So it's like we're trained a little bit to suck it up as long as possible, which isn't necessarily the most healthy. But it's like we learn that when we're kids, where we bounce back quicker, and it's not necessarily such like a take you out of the game situation. But then when you're a young adult, you got to be more careful because that could take you out for even longer.
Take you out of your career.
Yeah, it could take you out permanently. So there's a weird balancing act of like, okay, like you want to be smart, but you also want to be on the show. Like you have this one shot, so.
And everyone wants to win. It doesn't matter if you're like, I don't want to win. I'm just happy to be here. I'm like, you still want to win. There's always...
At the end of the day, they're like, well, if you say yes, you win. You're going to say yes. Like you're not going to be like, oh, okay, pass.
I don't want the money.
Yeah, it's just, thanks, pass. No.
So your season,
yes,
you won $250,000.
Yes.
A Gatorade ad. I don't remember that.
Yep.
And then the Dance Spirit cover, correct?
Yes, correct.
Every season's slightly
They do little different perks. Yeah. I mean, honestly, of course, the cash prize was awesome. I was a young person, and I was just like, I can't even fathom that amount of money at 18. You're like, put it in savings. Like,
as you should.
Right. Like, I don't even know. I don't want to look
I'd be
at
like,
it.
Mom and Dad, help me.
Right, exactly. But to, like, outside of, okay, yeah, that's cool, and, like, obviously, but the Gatorade and Dance Spirit, I mean, honestly, they're so cool. They were all so cool.
It's so cool.
I loved my dance.
No photo.
I know. I love my Dance Spirit shoot, too. They were so friendly. They made me feel so comfortable. Like, I hate photo shoots. I do not like them. I always feel fugly.
It's such a pretty shot too. Look how pretty that is.
No, it's really fun. Like they made me feel really comfortable. They like played the music. I remember it was like in this big like warehouse type space in New York, and they were like blasting like the pop hits of like 2010. Which barf every time I say that, it's so gross. But it was
ago.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. But the Gatorade was a blast because not so much, well, of course, because it was Gatorade. Wow, I'm just digging myself holes here. But honestly, because they didn't really know that much about dance, so like anything I did, they were like, oh, that's amazing. And I was like, right?
You're like,
awesome. Thank you. This like one like leap I do, and they're like, wow. And it was like,
you're like, dancers are also athletes.
No, it totally helped. I feel like a lot of like athletes and athletically minded people, because at Gatorade they were all very competitive, like sports people, like even just working at the company. I did like they're like one of their summits, we did like a fake So You Think You Can Dance, and like it was like I was their judge, and they did like little routines and partners and stuff, and they had like props, like some of them like had umbrellas, and they had like different styles. It was amazing. So adorable, and they were so competitive. They were like, no, like I coached them a little bit too. I went around like throughout the day and like coached their routines or whatever, and they were like, no, we want to be good. Like this is really hard. We want to make sure we like
super
show
competitive.
Up. Oh yeah, it was so fun. Like I loved working with them.
Was it like a year or just like
it was a year?
Yeah,
it was a year. I did a couple events with them. They had their G Series, fit, and I was like kind of one of the. It was me and what's the swimmer's name? Ryan
Lochte?
Yes, he was like
he was on Dancing with the Stars.
Yes, he
too.
was. Yeah,
yes.
he secretly I think he loves dance. Yeah, he's bonded to it. But yeah, we had like we did a commercial, which was really cool. That was like my first national commercial.
That's great.
Oh yeah, like
so
it was great exposure
you.
as a young person. Like really, I mean, So You Think You Can Dance like jet propulsed like my whole career.
Honestly, I'm surprised more athletic type of brands, other than we know like shapewear, we know like Under Armour's there and everything, but I'm surprised they're not partnering with dancers more, because dancers are athletes, and I feel like people are starting to recognize that. Even World of Dance, where you open it up even more to...
Oh my gosh, they are doing crazy things on World of Dance with
all that urban dance stuff.
Athletic abilities. I just feels like an explosion of like athleticism and tricks up the...
Breaking's going to the Olympics, and maybe this will open the door for 2024. But I'm just... Here's a marketing tip for anyone out there with an athletic brand. Find some dancers.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because dancers, today I went to my like local coffee shop I always go to, and this morning, and they were like, "Oh, you're in real clothes. You're always in gym clothes. We like thought you were like a yogi instructor." I was like, "No, I'm a dancer." And they were like, "Oh, that makes sense." Like dancers live in athletic wear, and like also I feel like are a big... I mean, this is just my theory, but a big push for like the athleisure movement, you know, like because we live to feel comfortable and to be able to be agile and have movement with what we're wearing. So come on.
Yeah, and not? The Nike sneakers everyone's wearing to even dance in. I mean, it used to be you would just wear the Capezio dance sneaker.
Or like jazz shoes. Like everybody, if you're like taking a jazz audition, you're wearing sneakers. Like these days.
So different. So I'm just saying it's a missed opportunity. And dancers could always use the funding and the money.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure there's stuff like that on social media with like brand deals and stuff, but like nationally and like commercial, like traditional commercials could definitely step it up with their dancer what do you call that?
Sort of like dancer outreach.
Representation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just think, because I love figure skating. I love gymnastics. I'm like, stick a dancer next to the two of them.
I always said if I wasn't a dancer, I wish I had been a figure skater. They're so cool.
They're so amazing.
They're just like making it look so effortless. It's the same as dance. Like I feel that is the challenge and also the blessing of dance is like making it look effortless, makes it look like it's easy. Sometimes like people are like, oh, that's so easy, but then the minute you would try and go up and do any like real intense dance move, a normal person would not be able to accomplish it. And it's the same with ice skating. You think like, I could probably get on that ice, do like one spin,
and then you get on
there and you're Bambi.
Ooh. Yeah, because and people don't realize that there are edges. There's an inside edge and an outside edge, and you have your toe pick, and sometimes you take off on that toe pick for a turn. Turn the air, yeah.
It's like one of my favorite things to do is teach non-dancers how to do pirouettes, because there's so much to it, but they don't know that. They're just like, I just want to spin. Like, I just want to do the spinning
You have to learn to spot first, everyone.
You have to spot. You have to have, your core tight, your arms, have to help you turn. A lot of people want to, like, it's weird because when you turn, you're doing the reverse of what you think. You think you want to go like this, and it'll help you, and they're like blown away by it.
It drives me nuts when I watch gymnastics and the floor routines. They're always falling out of their turns, and I always want to say, will someone get in there and tell them that their shoulders and their arms are here, and that's why they're falling out of it. And it's right there on the Olympic stage, and I'm like, there are a million dance teachers that also choreograph floor routines. Fix it,
right,
Put
exactly.
them in a ballet class,
exactly. But you see a professional dancer doing like 4 or 5 turns, and they make it look like they could do it in their sleep. So
absolutely, yeah, they're just like, and land.
But that is their job. That's the job of athleticism. Make it like any kind of athletic endeavor, is to make it look like anyone can do it. But nobody.
Alas, we can't.
Yes.
I did aerial yoga and I was like, oh, this is so easy. I can do it. And I could get into some good positions because I trained as a dancer. Yeah. But let me tell you, I've been feeling it for days later, and it's not as easy as they make it look. So anyone that does silks, you are amazing.
Yes, big props.
Let's talk about the spring, because I've seen it on your social media, and I know Jade Chynoweth is involved, and Cyrus is involved. So give us the scoop.
Okay. Yes. Oh, I'm so excited. This has been my whole morning has been the spring, so I'm excited to continue
this. And you almost came
this.
in your pajamas.
I wasn't even able to get dressed. I hadn't brushed my teeth. My hair was a mess. I posted on social media, and immediately I was like, maybe I should have waited until I like combed my hair at least. I looked crazy, but I just was so excited because we launched our campaign this morning at 10 a.m. And we are looking, first of all, we are a TV show in the developmental stages. We've been working on it for, the creators have been working on it for like 4 years. I was brought on like little over a year ago. I started doing these workshops with them because the writer and director is versed in movement. He had like acting training with movement, but he's not a dancer himself. And being the true star he is, he was like, I want to make sure if I'm going to write this show about dancers, I want to understand dancing and like where it comes from. And
Love
like,
it.
oh yeah, like he wanted to do his research and make sure it was true and represented this community correctly. So he went and like watched classes of, you know, like the classic like Millennium and Edge and all that. And then he was like, you know what, I actually think we need to bring in dancers, have them like do their movement, and then I can like break it down more from like seeing people's individual styles instead of just seeing like a class of like a big overwhelming like, you know, amount of people. And that's when I was brought in, and they loved me. They loved my style. So they were like, would you want to be a part of our team? Like, we want to bring you in, you know, consistently. And I had never been pushed like that, even through like, so you think it's, I tried to explain what we've been doing. It's like trying to express why you move the way you move. You think it would be easy. You're like, well, because the music made a note, and so I felt like doing this.
It looks like a this.
Yes, in my mind it visually was like, so, you know, it was so weird to like be moving and then be trying to kind of on the same angle of athleticism needing to look effortless. We were trying to figure out how we can create movement that looks relatable enough to anybody that they'd be like, oh, I can do that, but not everybody actually can do it. And it was like mind-boggling at first. I was like, I've never really looked into my own movement in this kind of perspective. I'm in this industry a lot of the times. I mean, yes, there are moments where you're choreographing your own movement, but more often than not, you're either taking someone else's movement completely and putting it on you and then, you know, adapting it more to yourself, or you're collaborating with like how you move with how someone's vision is. So it's like a total test in like improv that I don't feel like dance often gets the spotlight or opportunity to do so. And it was, you know, obviously so fun because one of my best friends at the time, Cyrus, was on it too. And so I was like, oh, that's so great. Now we're dating, so it's even more great.
It's so great. Put up the photo. They're so cute together. Jeff, I think there's one of her and Cyrus. Oh, my God. I can't take it.
Yeah, he's the best. But, you know.
Can we get him on the show, by the way?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Put up a little word in for me. Okay.
Yes, I am the bird. I will be tweeting in his ear. But, you know, we've been creating this show, and it's like a superhero show. But it's a superheroes with consequences. So it's not just like our biggest dilemma, even like Stranger Things, such a hit. But our biggest dilemma is like the biggest consequence that 11 has from like showing this power. One, her power is like initiated by an arm movement that's just like boom. And like, I don't know about you, but this doesn't seem like that's really
there's no
effort
impetus,
or something. I mean, I don't want to say effort because like she's like really like, you know, she's going for it.
Like,
and then the consequence is like one nosebleed. And I was like, really, you don't think like this person who's like taking these incredible powers isn't fully exhausted after they have, you know, channeled this? Because like with dance, like even when we make it look effortless, when we're done, we're on the side panting. We're sweating, like we're near tears, you know, like it's draining. It takes energy, it takes effort. And so we really wanted to express that like if even though they have these special abilities and they're able to channel this like force to create magic, there are actual consequences to it, and it's more realistic to how like if someone were to have superpowers, probably how it would be translated.
Right.
So anyway, we launched our campaign today because we made a proof of concept that we shopped around, and unfortunately, as often happens in dance, people underestimate how much people love dance and how much people want to see dance represented more than just like a cheesy background or like a rom-com-y glue. You know, there's more. Dance has so much depth and so much artistry. You can't tell me that that's all that dance has to offer the entertainment arts industry. All it does is like something, you know, to add to something. It stands alone.
Right.
Like it has the ability to stand alone.
That like the dance movie itself needs to be remade. Like there's another level there instead of like the boy and girl and the you know, the West Side Story type of thing.
Yeah, there are more
there.
things to be said, and dance is able to be the tool to say those things more than people give dance credit for.
Right.
And we firmly believe that. And we have a powerhouse cast, you know, Marcus Mitchell, he's our lead. He's on the Step Up series. He was
Love it.
He was on, oh boy, I forget the movie. Go look it up. He was on another dance movie. That was pretty good. And, Jade, obviously, killing the industry. She's
Also
so talented.
on Step Up High Water.
Also Step Up castmate. And then Cyrus with his, Step Up the movie and just like being...
Step Up.
Just being him. And he's incredible.
Yep.
And then, myself, I'm decent. So...
Stomp the Yard.
Stomp the Yard.
Thank you,
yes.
Jeff.
Yes. So, we have this powerhouse cast, and we're like, we all have something different to offer. None of us move exactly like the other.
Right.
And so we want to be able to, like, our whole goal is the team, beyond just the cast, the team of us who are creating the show. We want to represent people who are underrepresented and the underdogs, people who get, dismissed as, like, and being put in a box, like women. Like, we're really wanting to, like, have a lot of women on our team and, like, just underrepresented people in general. That have a lot to offer and don't have the space to previously to say what they want to say. We want to give a platform for all of this. And so we are trying to raise $80,000 in a month. And
you can do it.
The last I checked, we've been open for like 4.5 hours. We've raised over $7,000.
Good for you.
Yeah, and it's really about word of mouth. Like, we want, if you guys go to www.thespringlives.com, it's our campaign page, and it'll tell you more about, like, what the show is, who's involved, all of our team beyond just the cast, because we have, like, amazing people. Like, we have amazing stunt people on it. We have an amazing composer on it. I mean, we have amazing editors. Like, we have a great team, like, of people who really want to make this happen and who really believe in this. And I could talk your ear off for at least 3 more hours on this, so, like, you're gonna have to cut me off. But I'm just so... we've been working on... we've been working on the show for a long time, but as far as, like, this campaign, we've been working also back, behind the scenes for a few months. And so we are so excited that it's finally out here, and we want to make high quality, great content that shows, like, what dance is really capable of.
I love that.
Yeah.
And a passion project too. I can tell you're passionate about
yeah.
it. But that's the thing too. You're going to put your heart and soul into it, and it's going to
yeah.
be an amazing product once it is out there for everyone to see. So springlives.com, of course, and don't forget, you can always find it on your Instagram.
Yep,
account
it's
too.
in my bio.
All that. A couple quick things. I do want to make sure that I get to fan questions.
Ooh,
I got
yay!
some good ones.
I'm excited.
This is a good one, actually, since it's kind of on the same topic.
Alrighty.
Cheryl wants to know, if you could create an iconic dance role in a movie, what would it be?
Ooh, okay, Cheryl. If I could create an iconic... I'm really big into fantasy. I've always, I'm getting into more acting, and I have always wanted to play an elf. I feel like I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan growing up.
That would be fun.
So not like a tiny elf, not like a Keebler's Cookie elf, but like a magical, action star elf. And I feel like it'd be cool because it is kind of along the lines of the spring, but like dance, I feel like my dance movement, I always tell my students when I'm teaching, is like a river. It's like there's mystical shimmering lights in it. Ooh. And there's turns and bends, and there's like crashes on rocks, and but it's always flowing, and it's always like headed somewhere, and it has a goal, it has a home to get to. And so I always feel like foresty elf.
I love it. That's a great analogy too.
Thanks.
Yes. Okay.
Thanks for the question.
Yes. Tracy, this is a good one too.
Okay.
Tracy wants to know what it was like being on the So You Think tour. How different was it from your first time around?
Okay. So Tracy, is it?
Tracy. Yep.
Okay, Tracy. Well, let me tell you. It was so different because I was like the mom of this tour. And when I went on my first tour, I was absolutely the baby. So it was
Mom's grown up.
So strange. Cyrus and I were dance captains, so we would like help edit and critique and fine tune the show every city. And, sometimes the contestants, I love them, but they would be like, oh, I don't want any more notes from this lady. And I'd be like, I know, I'm sorry, it's my job, because I'm so different as a teacher or in a position of like needing to manage rather than just like playing or participating or performing. So some of the contestants found it a little hard for my flip-flop of like, haha, everything's fun, to like, no, do it.
Clean it.
Yes.
Did they do like the pass the pencil in any of the dances? Do you know this game?
They didn't do that. We did this animal game where we had partners, and you'd have to, like, during the dance, make your animal noise, and then like if it was the same person, they would make it back, but if it wasn't, like they would make their animal noise. I think I had like monkey, and I was partnered with Magda, possibly. It was very exciting. It was very thrilling. Yes.
Yeah. If people don't know the tour, just to keep things lively after doing a million shows, there's always like one little stage game that goes on. And I think Jeff showed up. I don't know what season it was. He showed up at Surprising.
Oh, no.
Someone,
and they were playing a game.
They were passing a pencil.
That was my deepest fear when we started doing that a little bit. Like, I'll let maybe like 3 shows go in the middle of like playing games. And then I was like, okay, enough. Let's stop this.
No more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
you're refreshed now.
A lot of trouble. I still think that's funny, though. I'm like,
hilarious.
Who passed the pencil around? Judy wants to know what you think about the format changes, which I think is actually kind of interesting because season 7 was a format change.
Yes,
and then we went back, and then we've changed all over the place.
Right. Hi, Judy. I dig it. I feel like you need to. I feel like, time changes and people change and television changes, so it's only fair and right that So You Think makes changes to keep themselves alive and inspired and fresh. I don't mind them at all. I love it. I always enjoy seeing what new thing they're going to do, because I've noticed there's always some kind of, even if it's small, there's some kind of change that they that they put into the show, or even if it's just behind the scenes with the dancers, and I always like it. It keeps me fresh on my toes.
Yeah, that's true. And Dancing with the Stars is going through an issue where they didn't change for a little bit, and now they've had to do some changes because people started getting bored.
Right.
Well, yeah, and that's what you need to do.
People's attention spans need to be, they need to be stimulated, so you gotta change it up.
Yeah, and I think like even just mixing up judges every once in a while, which So You Think has done over the years, I think it does keep it fresh. And I like having all dancers on the panel. I will say that.
Yes,
dance-related people. I think is really important.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the judges this season, like they've all got a glimpse of what they've said at certain points, and I feel like they just seem knowledgeable this season.
Yeah.
They seem like they're also supportive of the dancers, which I think is huge, and sometimes missed a little bit. No shade to anybody who's been judging before. It just, for entertainment wise, sometimes they have to add a little drama, but like it feels very encouraging this season.
Yeah.
So.
Lorianne was here maybe last month, and she was so passionate about it. She really wants to be there.
Yeah, she's a little firecracker. She really is.
She is. But she was like, she's so passionate. She's moved to tears. I think that's great.
That's
she's
always
invested.
Oh man, yeah. That's always when you see people emotionally reacting, you're like, you care, and that's what you want. You just want people to care, because this is something really special to those contestants putting themselves out there, and it's also really special to people who are watching, and they grow up either wanting to do things or just are inspired by the movements of these other people, and it's important that people actually care about what they're doing.
Well, I care because I love this show so much. I care.
Yeah.
I care. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so glad this happened. I'm so glad I attacked you at the premiere party and said July 9th.
Right. It's going down. No, thank you for having me. Sincerely. Always a fun time.
Yes, to come back anytime you want. And if people aren't already following you, where can they find you?
Oh, okay. So we've got Instagram, Froderman. That is probably my most active account.
Yeah.
And then Facebook is also Froderman with a period after L. And then my Twitter is Frody, which I'm very inconsistent about, but I don't know.
It does exist.
Sometimes,
We've tagged you.
Yeah, sometimes I'm on there.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Guys, just a couple things before we do wrap up. We want to remind you guys, if you are listening to this as a podcast on iTunes, we would love for you guys to rate us 5 stars, of course, and write us a comment, because this helps us with visibility. It pushes the show even higher up there on iTunes, because there's so many podcasts out there. So if you love dance, we want to encourage other dance listeners to come and join us. And of course, we want to thank Popcorn Talk and Dance Network. We'll be back next week with a very fresh show. Very excited about next week's guest. I told you who it was.
Yes.
Gonna keep it secret. Making sure the schedule all works out, because this person's very, very busy. All right, you guys, have a great week. We'll see you all next week on To The Point.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.